Merry meet and welcome everyone. This is the Astro Tarot Show. I hope you all had a wonderful new moon in Taurus, and if you've been looking at my updates, I've been offering a little bit of updates here and there about the other energy that is going on at this time. So I try to cover as much as I can in these shows, and sometimes I just can't cover everything that's going on. We had a really good initiation through our heart. We had first Jupiter moving in Taurus, then we had our new moon in Taurus, and then we have Mars moving into Leo, and that really changed the energy there. For a while, Mars and Venus, our galactic lovers, were both in the sign of Cancer, so that was some good energy going on. But, you know, Mars is now in Leo, and this is about standing up for himself and empowering himself. And and this is a big change of energy than when he was in Cancer. But before we go any further into that, I first want to say happy birthday to all of you Geminis out there. The sun moved into the sign of Gemini at 3:09 a.m. Eastern time zone on the 20th. So Gemini is elemental, is the air. And the air sign is connected to messages, or to messengers, so to speak. Now the elementals are part of this element, and that would be the sylphs, or the funnels of clouds. That was, you know, greatly known, you know, to be that air element. To see those little, I don't know if we call them dirt devils, is, you know, like the air funneling around. So the sylphs and that falls into that category, and those are two important things, because you know, air is one of the 4 fundamental building blocks of nature. And Paracelsus said that these elementals were, which there are 4 elementals, the gnomes for the earth, and then you have the undines for water, and then you have the salamanders for fire, and the sylphs for air. And our divine objects, these are, he categorized them as divine objects that were outside of our cognitive sight. So our sense, it was like the light of nature itself. So these are primordial energies and creatures that are as ancient as our planet. And the air element is our intellect, it's our mind, the mental, it's our thoughts. And, you know, Gemini is a very charming energy. I don't know if you've met any Geminis. I have. They're very charming. They're energetic and lively. They're full of energy, and they're very versatile. So, and that goes into the duality, right? They represent the twins, and this duality, within the duality with Venus, with Gemini, is masculine. So I will say that this is a mutable sign, of course. So the symbol is the twins, like I just mentioned, and they represent duality as well as humanism. And this is about communication as well. Its planet is Mercury, which is the ancient messenger of the gods. I'm sure you know that. And he also rules communication, travel, and money exchange. Many don't you know, remember that, but Mercury was about the exchange, like commerce. So and this is a nervous energy. It can be a little bit, have some nervous tendencies. So the key word with Gemini is I think. And so their thought is very, very important for them to know, you know, where they're standing at. They want to have that clear thought of where they are going. Its polarity, the opposite of Gemini, is Sagittarius, and which is all about freedom. So that is something that they share. Now, the stone for Gemini is agate, and what I find interesting is that Edgar Cayce called the agate the stone of the moon. So that's kind of interesting how it is connected to that. Now, the animals for Gemini are like the brightly colored birds, butterflies. Geminis tend to strive for self-expression. Their numbers are 5 and 9, which is perfect because you know, those are two numbers that are feared by some of the signs. But for Geminis, they do not fear 5 and 9. 5 is change. 9 is an ending. So Geminis are okay with change. They will they will adapt and roll with the punches. They actually welcome change because that's that constant movement that air likes. Now, Gemini, it values freedom as well, and that's something that it values overall. So that's a commonality that's between Gemini and Sagittarius. Gemini is ready to explore new territory, and Geminis tend to love the journey more than the destination, so to speak. It's like the destination is just the icing on the cake, but it is the journey that means the most to them. So yeah, so Gemini is it's a very fun, it's a very lively energy. It's very social. It's very, like I said, it's communication. So Gemini season seems to be the time that when we begin getting out and socializing, meeting up with friends and that sort of thing. So, you know, Geminis are ready for action, and that is, you know, this time of the year, this is when we all start, you know, the Southern Hemisphere here, this is when, I'm sorry, oh my goodness, the Northern Hemisphere, that is when, you know, summer is really kicking in for us and we're getting busy. Of course, in the Southern Hemisphere, it's the opposite. So there's another contrast there. So first, I want to look at Mercury, because Mercury is the sign of Gemini. Mercury was retrograde for a little bit, but he went direct on the 14th of May, and he is in the sign of Taurus. So this is grounded thought, thinking of more of simplicity, more practical. You know, when Mercury is in Taurus, this is also about exchange of money as well. Taurus represents money, so it could be a lot of money changing hands, not necessarily giving it all out, but it's like an exchange. So that is you know, that's what we have to consider with going on. And I'll get into some more of that because as we're seeing, as I've said before, we're having a lot of the finance stuff that's coming out, and we'll talk about more finance stuff in just a moment. So when he went direct, he had traveled all the way back to the 5th degree of Taurus. And on the 19th, we had the Taurus new moon. Now, he was a part of that energy. And, you know, he was, at that time, he was direct. He's still in his shadow, so he's going back over that path that he just, you know, that he had to travel back on. So, you know, he's gathering himself. Okay, he's gathering his thoughts. He's gathering his bearings, so to speak. And when he was in that earth energy, that was that big grand cross I talked about. Now, during that, he formed a sextile with Saturn. And that could really bring us some reality to our thoughts. Saturn is about structure. So this could, when I say bringing boundaries, it could bring, I'll say bring structure to your thoughts. It will help you build your thoughts, what your, you know, your ideas into reality. That's what Saturn is there for. He's boundaries, and he helps you manifest into the tangible world. So this also is about bringing reality to our thoughts. It's like, okay, that's a great idea, but we have to consider this. And you know, he's just helping us to try to build a solid foundation and not one that's going to be unstable for us. That's not going to, you know, he just wants us to build that bond, to build that that lasting. He wants, you know, he wants to help us build those lasting things. So by the 28th, Mercury is back on the scene with a half square with Neptune, and this is an energy that will bring in some illusions. This could be a time where we're really having to get our feet on the ground. We're really having to ground our energy out. Mercury is still trying to catch up to the sun, because all this information that he's gathered during his retrograde and now going back over that, this is some information that he needs to carry to the sun. By the 31st, he is just a few degrees away from Uranus, as well as Vesta, that are sitting at 20 degrees of Taurus. So by the 31st, Mercury will be at 15 degrees of Taurus, and we will be out of his shadow. So he is, you know, by the end of the month, he's just 5 degrees away from Uranus. So we're looking at maybe the beginning of June when he's getting closer. The first week of June when he's getting closer to that. So we can watch for that. There could be stories that are coming out that, again, you know, Mercury is about communication. The sun is in Gemini as well. So there could be some information coming out, some truth, some like this, you're not going to believe this. This happened. But there's going to be a twist to it. It's going to be shocking. It's going to be something, you know, we're just going to be, you know, we're just going to be, I guess, shocked, amazed by it. But there could be another story going on as well, trying to mislead. There's a lot of those little areas right now going on in our astrology. So all in all, I will say there's a lot of people that are feeling kind of overwhelmed and just kind of you know, just out of their skin speaking. I will say that it's very important to ground. I'm not kidding you. I know I sound like a broken record with that, but ground, and if you haven't ground, please ground some more. So please do that. So next I want to talk about Chiron, because Chiron is so important in our chart. That's our that's the wounded healer. So this is about healing that needs to happen, that we may not readily bring to the forefront and know that it needs to be dealt with. Chiron is still moving through Aries, and on May the 24th through the 25th, he will form a half square with the sun and a square with Venus. So while the sun is also having a half square with Venus, so you see this is a little jumble here. We have these three planets doing a little bit of face off. So this is where we're going to have to face some wounds from the past that may come up in order for us to go forward. It's a time that we're going to have to step up, and we're going to have to grab deep for our strength to face these, so that we can move forward. This could be something from the past, but it's so important that you clear this, because it's about clearing that karma. It's about getting through that so that you can move on. Many times those things that keep us bound, those wounds that we neglect to take care of, those will keep us back from going forward. So again, this could be some stuff from the past. You could be triggered by some stuff, and you would have to, and you thought you might have dealt with it, and it's saying, well, there's something else here that you need to consider. The moon will enter into that Grand Cross energy, and it will oppose Pluto and square Jupiter. then meet up with Mars at 2 degrees of Leo. So, yes. The moon, like I said, he's going to be a part of that Grand Cross energy. So he's taking that stalemate kind of energy. And the moon is about emotions, okay? He's going to square Pluto, and it's talking about Pluto brings an end to something. It's something that, and this could be emotionally, it's something that you may emotionally feel a loss from. When he is square Jupiter, and then we'll meet up with Mars when the moon squares Jupiter, this will give some empowerment energy to the moon, some of that, and spiritual too. It'll be like it'll offer some of that, the spiritual healing energy, and you know, Jupiter's like that guru. He's like, you know, you got this. He's a dispeller of darkness and bringer of life. So it brings that aspect to our emotions. And you know, this is, you know, when he meets up with Mars, it's a different kind of energy. It's one of emotional empowerment, because he's bringing this healing to Mars. But the way this can look is it can be disruptive, because healing is disruptive. It's not a nice process. It's not, you know, whenever you've went through some hardships, it's not nice going through that. It can get dirty, you know, when we reach the lowest parts of ourselves. But it will bring healing. It's something that needs to happen in order for a healing to take place. It's something that you have to go through in order to resolve yourself of it. This could be very karmic, you know, and more is still coming out too in our governments and what's happening. We're getting more and more information that's coming out. So, and, you know, in your life personally, this could also mean, you know, is healing even possible? Can we heal from this? Can we go forward from this? But it's something that we're going to need to face, and we're going to need to deal with. And we're going to have to move through it. If we want to grow, we're going to have to move through this energy. Now, on the 26th, Venus forms a sextile with Uranus. And this is really good energy. So we're moving away from that heavy fixed energy, from that Grand Cross. And, you know, when she meets up with Uranus, this brings some excitement to her. Uranus is that excitement, you know. It's electrifying. Uranus and Venus together is good energy, especially with a sextile, because a sextile is, he's offering her almost like, yes, you know, this is, say yes to this good thing here. This is a feel good kind of thing. Uranus brings us excitement. It can be shocking. There can be some shocking news. And it can be very good. Venus is about relationships. So, you know, it's shocking news that we are, it's something that was needed at this time. It's something that can lead to a better future. Remember back on the 12th, Venus had a trine with Saturn, and a trine is like 120 degree alignment. It's 120 degree angle alignment, and now the Sun is having a square to Saturn. So along with Venus having that half square with the Sun, which a half square is 125 degrees, that is not much fun right there. That is, this is not some good energy. So you see, she's going through some stuff, but Uranus is trying to give her that energy to kind of help her go forward. So when we have the Venus and the Sun and Saturn, you know, he was helping her at one time, but now it's come to the point to where he's saying, okay, he's challenging her a little bit. You know, challenges are not a negative thing. They help you level up and grow. They help you grow as a person. That's what we're here to do, have a human experience. And, you know, our emotions and all of that go along with it. it's very much about the journey, just like Gemini is about the journey. It is about the journey here. So this can give us a hard, with this placement with Venus, the Sun, and Saturn, this can give us some a stressful situation. But again, Uranus is there to offer her some condolences there and try to give her some good energy, some good juju energy. So the moon will be in Virgo at that time. So it's going to help us kind of bring it into more of a practical view of it, to try to bring some understanding to that. Virgos like to understand. They want to know why. So it can bring some understanding energy to that. Now, the fixed grand cross that we had was some serious business, and it was definitely one of excitement. It was also one of a lot of people are just reaching a stalemate, feeling like they can't go forward, that sort of thing. But I will say it was something that was very much needed, because it slowed us down enough to take a moment, take a moment to smell the roses. That is definitely what that did. When things slow down, we should take advantage of that. We should listen to this. So the energy's slowing down. Okay, so you know what? I am going to take the advice, and I am going to slow down, and I'm going to rejoice in this wonderful Taurus energy that tells us to take care of ourselves, to nurture ourselves, to ground, and to mother ourselves. And that's definitely what I did. So now by the 28th, the square between the Sun and Saturn will be direct at 6:46 a.m. Eastern time. So we're going to have to face some boundaries. Maybe we're going to have to make some boundaries. You could be at a place in your life where things are just getting too gray. So you're going to have to define those things. Define those boundaries where they have been blurred. That is very much needed in this world right now. So especially with communications, freedom of speech is, very important. It's very important for us all, whether, no matter what spirituality you may find yourself into, or what walk of life that you may find yourself into, freedom of speech is for freedom of speech. And once one is hushed, it's just a moment later until more are hushed. So we have to remember that. With the Sun in Gemini and Saturn in Pisces, this can show us where our boundaries have been blurred for way too long. It's like, okay, it's been taken out, it's been taken way too far, and it's time to back this up. This is also looking at our spirituality, because Pisces represents the spirituality. And, we can see where our spirituality is being challenged as well. Now on the 26th, Mars begins to have a square with the nodes of faith. Yes, is the north and south node. And that is what is called bending the nodes. This is very important with him, and while he's in Leo. Because this is our faith. It represents where we have been and where we are going. And when, like I've stated before, Mars in Leo and where Mars has been in our chart and his alignments and aspects, I should say, he's really been fighting for his personal rights. He's like, excuse me, I understand this, but I am here too, and this is fringing up on mine. When he was in Cancer, this was really going into the family. He's wanting to protect the home and the family, those things that are valuable, to him, what matters to him. Also integrity. He looked at integrity as well within that. So he wasn't really fighting on the outside. Now with Leo, he is empowered and he says, you know what? I've had enough. And game on. And this is going to be some very powerful energy, because this will be, these are very, Mars and Leo are very personal. Mars is as I am. Leo is the sun, right? And we all, you know, is very important, and he is going to shine. And Mars is saying that, you know what, I'm tired of hiding in my shell. I'm ready to shine. So this is very much this is important as well, because the fact that these nodes are beginning to shift. These we've been in the Taurus Scorpio axis, and we are fixing to shift into the Aries and Libra axis in July. They're getting ready to go from earth and water into fire and air. So this is really going to change the game. And the real biggest the biggest player that I'm seeing this month and all of this energy here is the Mars square Jupiter. So I made a short video talking about this a little bit, but if you haven't heard that, you know, I talked about it just briefly. But Mars squaring Jupiter, this is going to really help empower us and connect us to that higher vision for ourselves. The moon is going to be moving into Libra at 10:51 a.m. and then will form a sextile with Mars by 9:21 p.m. So this is really going to help balance out some emotions, going to help him see things from a more logical as well as a higher perspective. I would say that it's considering all. It's seeing things not for, why is this happening, of, okay, I'm understanding why this is happening, and I'm seeing the bigger picture. Back on the 24th, the moon had a conjunction with Mars, and on the 4th, and before that, the moon was conjunct Venus on the 23rd. So this is really bringing our divine masculine and our divine feminine some healing here. This is some emotional security. So for humans, you know, this has been very hard, because this has been a battle between what we value and our morality. For a while, this has been very, very stressful for humans, because we're looking at, you know, with Pluto and Aquarius, you know, when we're looking at that, we are looking at our right for humanism, and how much it is important that our emotions are intact and that who we are. We're also seeing the energies of martyrdom, or the people-pleasing, being pushed out, because we can see how it can become addictive to some people, the people-pleasing and the martyrdom, that sort of thing. You know, people-pleasing, you cannot be an authentic person and be a people-pleaser. That is just, you know, those two do not go hand in hand, because you end up doing things that you may not agree to. So when we're talking about people-pleasing, I'm talking about bending yourself to the will of another. And I'm not talking about being in service to others. I am not talking about that. I'm talking about putting your safety and putting what is fair for you, what is right and just for you, on the back burner for someone else. This is people pleasing, bending yourself, getting, you know, saying you like things when you don't like things so people can like you, that sort of thing. You know, being a people pleaser can be very addictive. And you can really see those people who have been abused in their life, they really play out the people pleasing method, because, you know, as long as they keep the water, you know, smooth, then everything can be smooth. So when we bend the will of another, that is very unhealthy. It's an unhealthy thing, and it's fringing upon another person's rights, and that is very important. And remember that, you know, other people's rights end where yours begin, and your rights end where others begin. We have to respect that. We have to respect that not everybody is going to see the things the way that we see, and we have to respect that. That is how we have a successful society. And to be authentic is to show up as your true authentic self. And that is not one that is based off fear. It's not one of, you know, you having to be tricked or manipulated into being a certain way. This is being authentic, is acting upon your values, your morals, your integrity, those things which you feel are important. So one of the key things that we have to understand here is that we have to use discernment, and we have to use understanding through this time. With Pluto in Aquarius, this is really going to push all of that. It's going to push some uncovering of stuff coming out within science, technology, AI, that sort of thing. There's going to be a lot of there's a lot of energy that is trying to have us, trying to mislead us. So we're really going to have to maintain our groundedness. We're going to have to keep straight in our head and remember to remain authentic and true to yourself. Mars is fighting for himself, and he's telling you that it's time to stand up. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that astrology message. Stay tuned for the divination part, and hope you enjoy that. See you soon.